Hey guys, time for an update. So I've been working all weekend on this non-stop, every waking hour, seriously every waking hour I've been working on the project. So let's kind of to a good point. I was excited to show off where I got to, but that involves me going over a few things. So let me go ahead and switch this over here. All right. Now then, yeah. Alright, it's working. Had to make sure it's working. Got the automatic scene switcher, so as I go back and forth, it should keep track and keep you guys looking at what I'm looking at. Alright, I had a problem with the recording I did the other day where half of it wasn't there because the scene switcher didn't work right, but I got it working now. So, let me show you where when I first spawned all these things in the last video, we had individual square pieces, and it spawned a whole list of a bunch of the different pieces over in this area, right? Okay, so the thing with that was very performance heavy. I had hundreds and hundreds of meshes just for environment, and some of them weren't doing anything. So I did some research, and I looked on the Unity forums and saw about combining meshes and how actually it was really easy to combine meshes. Thankfully, I wasn't sure Unity had made it that easy, but it was really easy, like really easy. So we added that to the map generator, and we made it excuse me, so that now these are all one piece. As you can see by the outline there, when you grab it, it's one piece, and that's what this wireframe view is. If I go into just wire, ooh, that's a bit dark. That's because the scene view is off. That's okay. We'll do this. Can I change it from here? No. Can I change it? We won't worry about it. Anyway, so that's what the lines, you can see the kind of the grid lines in here. They're very faint, but you can see them. So we've turned it into a single object. Yay! Spending a little too much time on that. Now then, over here we added a rooms thing as well. Well, before we get into the rooms, with the mesh combiner. So we wrote the mesh combining script that does all the combining, and then we got this that we can check here when we're done, that will remove this so it's not actually there. And we moved over to the nav mesh component workflow, which you get that from GitHub, and you have to just drag that into your project. It's only a couple scripts you need. But we've worked on into the component workflow so that we can add the mesh collider to the floor here. At first we were going to do that because we were having some carving issues, but it all worked out, and I don't technically need to continue using it. I could go back to the default nav mesh system. However, what we're going to get to, these rooms over here, will play into that, because I could apply a nav mesh modifier volume to one of these guys, and that would change how you path, the pathing mechanics. Not going to do that right now, don't have time to mess with that, but it's a thing that could be done. And then I got these rooms. That's what these are over here. So I was trying to figure out a way, how do I get the enemy to wander the same room, because I had an algorithm that randomly picked a point around the enemy. It randomly picked a point somewhere over here, within a circle distance of him, and with that logic, depending on how the random generator works, he could work his way right onto the room and right out into other parts of the map. And that might not be bad per se, especially if he's chasing after the hero. But if he's just wandering around idling, or not actively engaging, should kind of stay in the same general area where they spawn. So I came up with the idea of having these kind of room definitions. And that's what this is here. And I can change the color, you know, the debug color of what it looks like just there. And that's just a debug thing. You don't see that in the actual game. I can turn that off. You adjust the position, the size, and your height, right? If you don't want to see it like a full room, like a whole cube, you can turn it down to just you know, this area is this room, and they're independent. They don't have to be the same. That way you can layer and kind of stack if you need to, and if you need to, well, if I need to. But this code is going to get released when I turn it in for reviews, so anybody's going to be free to use this if they find it useful at that point. So let me play and show you where we've gotten to, because the other thing I have is when I select this guy, it's getting a little bit hard to see as well, isn't it? So let me turn these off. Just turn the walls off, and that's better. Now if I go, oh yeah, that's much better. So this is the colliders around the enemy. Right in here. This egg shape is, if the player gets within that range, the enemy becomes alerted. He stops wandering and actually goes into an alerted status where he like does something else, because we're working on a state machine. Over here we have our enemy controller, right? And we throw in our different behaviors. We have enums that we can select: sleeping, wandering, alerted, and engaged. And that's a work in progress. I've kind of just step by step going one through the other and working them in. And right now I have sleeping, wandering, and then alerted going on. And I made a video about this that I didn't actually get to post because it was messed up. But I had designed these around scriptable objects, and it was great, except for when I tried to do it with a bunch of multiple enemies and realized, oh, they're all referencing the same object. So whenever one of them tries to change its state, they were all changing, and they were getting really confused, and it wasn't working, not as a group. So the easy fix, after a little bit of banging my head against the wall, was turn them into mono behaviors and just drag the mono behaviors on the enemy prefab, and then I can set these up on multiple enemies. I can reference them in the same way that I wanted to, because I wanted to be able to drag the behaviors into associated with the relative enums, so that it was easier to process when I have a dictionary of an enum and the behavior stored. So down here we have our sleep behavior. All it does is a move speed, which I don't actually need. I could remove that and just I have it set the move speed to 0, so it does other things that actually disable the nav mesh, disable the animator whenever the player is not in range. See, the player has the range script. I think we talked about this. The player has the range. It comes in range, activates the enemies, and then if the player becomes in the egg shape, it becomes activated, and then once it's in the vision cone, it's going to do a raycast to see if it has a direct line of sight to the player, and if it has a line of sight to the player while the player is in this little vision cone here, at that point the enemy will detect the player and then move to attack, and then we'll have an engaged status. And those are the states that I'm still working on. I haven't gotten it. Let's play this and let me show you what we've gotten to so far. So if I control space on here, we can go full screen. Oh, wait a minute. So that's interesting. The nav mesh isn't displaying when I go full screen. That might be a bug. I am in the 2021.2 A15 branch, so that might be a bug that's been addressed or needs to be addressed. But it looks like I'm not using the plugin. There is a plugin for older versions of Unity to make each individual window full screen. They've integrated that into the editor now, as far as I can tell, and I can just do like so. Perhaps It looks nav mesh. Okay, no, the nav meshes are engaged. It's just not showing it. That's too bad. But you don't need to see the nav mesh for this little demo. What we're gonna see is the enemies over here. We're gonna come over here. See, we got our player running around still. He still sprints, and right now the camera it's focused on his head. So it's actually attached to his head. You might notice the camera's kind of breathing with the character. I'm liking that, but I need to add a little bit of dampening because it can be a little rough, which isn't bad, but it's a little off. Okay, so we get in here and he's activated. He activated before I got there, but he was in an idle state. He was sitting there idling or searching. He's got a little search animation, which being full screen, there you go. You can kind of see him up here. He's idling right now. Now, if I go in here, the vision cone pops up. Now, the vision cone, it's not there when he doesn't detect me. I'm gonna get out of the range, give it a few seconds, and there he goes. Okay, so he is in a wandering state right now, just walking, and he's not moving very fast. He's not in his running mode. His movement speed slowed down. I go in here and there's a timer. 3 seconds, 1, 2, bam. He goes activated and he's coming this way. Now I haven't done the code for the vision cone yet, but when it becomes activated, it changes from the room volume to this volume, and it starts wandering. It does the same wandering script, but each time it stops to idle, it stops for a shorter period. It moves a little bit faster up to the point of using its run animation, and it uses different animations. There's a battle idle, like, hey, it's actively searching. So I've got it set up with the different behaviors for that so far, and we use some delayed reactions so that basically what was happening, as soon as I would get out, he would turn around and go the other direction and repath towards the other volume as soon as I would leave, and it was a little jarring. It was like, whoa, okay, so I'm out of the enemy's range, he's gone. This way, there's a little bit of delay, and you can't really, like, you can walk up on them a little bit before they turn, but then they turn on you, and you can walk out, and they still will wander around the active area for a few seconds in an alerted state, and then they'll go back to the other zone, and they'll kind of wander back. So this is like if you're pulling enemies, right? You're gonna kite them. You're gonna come grab some enemies. You're gonna pull them out here. You're gonna kite them out this way. If you get out of their range for long enough, because you're taking too much damage, which I haven't even gotten a health system in yet, or interactions between the character and the enemy yet. We're working on it. But say that happened, you can get out of the range, and they will wander their way back towards the room that they spawned in. So it's coming together pretty good and working pretty good, and I thought I would share this because I was pretty impressed. Whoa. I can't get out of my full screen mode. Okay. There we go. Hit the wrong buttons and had a slight catastrophe. It looks like everything's still running though. So, okay. We'll watch the video before I post it. Make sure everything's good. Alright, now the other thing I wanted to do is, so I have the slime, the alerted sensors here. So yeah, there's different settings down here. The amount of time it'll idle for, the amount of time it stays in sense mode, and then the seconds until alerted and the seconds until not alerted. Okay, so because that's all on a prefab that's saved, I can then go through and I can just duplicate it. Get over here, drag it over. Let's duplicate it. Let's duplicate it. Let's duplicate it. Let's just do this a bunch of times because why not? We want a room full of enemies, like so. So now we have a room full of enemies, and we're gonna leave this kind of over here so we can see a little bit better, like that. And we'll drag this up so it gets smaller, and over here so that the game view gets bigger. And now we'll play with all these and see how things work, because it should all still work the same, other than the fact that I'm missing parts that I don't know if I'm going to get completed. The due date is Thursday. I start work tomorrow. I got 3 days, so I don't know. Uh-oh, those ones are activated. They're coming. They're coming. Now, that's kind of horrifying with a group of them coming at you, running at you. Not necessarily at me. Oh, okay, see, now we got them all active. They're all coming over here to wander around this zone. Once I get the vision cone stuff working, they'll go into the next state, and they'll start actually like approaching the player and then moving to attack. That's actually kind of hard. It's hard to see that volume right now. There you go. It's still a little bit hard to see that volume. Let's turn it off. There we go. So you can see. So they're all hanging out here. They're all pissed off. They're like, what's up? We're in battle mode. And I mean, the animations aren't perfect. I spent as much time as I could without going crazy, because obviously I still got a lot to do, and there's no way I'm going to get it all done. I am going to submit the project anyway, and then the night before I plan on going through and commenting out the code the best I can to kind of explain what I'm doing, so it's not just such a bowl of spaghetti, you know. But yeah, there they are, and you come back here, and the ones looking directly at me, I'm probably still in their range, but the rest that are looking the other way, they're slowly moving their way back because they're no longer pissed off at me for being too close to them. So I'm liking it. It's coming together. It's just not there yet. I got a lot of work to go. So hope you guys enjoyed this update, and I will catch you in the next one.